Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome to Going In Raw Overrun. What is with that, Larson? Once again, the old titles trying to break through. I think the continual
Sentience.
battle.
Sentience.
I guess so.
Some sort of sentience.
Continual battle between the old and the new, Larson. Speaking of the old.
Isn't that the struggle that happens worldwide every day?
Pretty much, man. Speaking of old, we're going to do an Ask Stephen Larson today because it's Friday. Ugh, well, the weekend's here. I'm done talking about wrestling.
Yeah.
We talked about wrestling all week.
A lot.
So we have
A bunch of questions here.
A bunch of questions.
Here, I'll just kick things off. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Michael Mygand, in a bizarro universe, what would your show be about?
In a bizarro universe.
So the opposite. What's the thing that's most diametrically opposed to professional wrestling in your mind?
Bible studies? Let me ask you this. Is there any topic? So after we got laid off from the big M, from Machinima.
Yeah.
We were sitting there like a couple idiots. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I was like, let's do gaming. And you were like, I don't know what we're going to do.
That's pretty much let's do anything else but gaming.
Yeah, pretty much. So I remember the one idea you had. You were like, we like doing skits. What if we do skits? And I was like, I don't see us making money doing that. But, I don't know. So maybe if I could have been convinced, maybe we would have been like a skit channel, like comedy skits.
Yeah, we wouldn't have made any money at that, though.
We wouldn't have made dick on that.
No, here's what it'd be about. It'd be like some sort of like a classic literature podcast.
Oh, if it was like if we were bizarro versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think Bible studies is even further away from pro wrestling than classic literature.
I don't know.
Let me ask you this though.
No, not classic literature. Sorry, like Renaissance nonfiction.
Renaissance.
If such a thing exists.
Oh my god. Well, yeah.
We'll pour through ancient historical texts.
Oh, that sounds terrible. Well, another question would be if Dan had never come around and we never did Going in Raw, and it never occurred to us to do a pro wrestling channel, or what if we just didn't have that in common? I don't know. Maybe we just weren't into pro wrestling enough. We probably would have been like a movie podcast, right?
Yeah, I probably would have segued into that.
That's like the only other thing.
I don't think the game we weren't standing out in the gaming stuff.
I don't think that we ever could have really pulled off the gaming thing.
And to be honest, at that point, my heart really wasn't in it. I've been doing the gaming stuff for a long time. I was ready to try something else.
Yeah, I think I probably could have done that. I probably could have been convinced. Like, okay, look, there are a handful of games out there in the world we like. If we can focus on comedy via that stuff, then maybe I could have rolled with it. But I recognize also at the time that you were just completely over the entire idea of doing gaming stuff. So I don't know. Like we probably would have been like, let's just do movies and see if it works.
Yeah,
let's talk about movies.
Yeah, but because by that point I've been doing the Machinima stuff for 7 years. Mm-hmm. I was ready for something new. Yeah, and something new we did. Michael Valdez, so he says, point your index fingers towards each other and try to spin them in opposite directions. So for you go clockwise or counterclockwise?
We each go clockwise. Because your clockwise is different than my clockwise. Or it's supposed to be our fingers.
Oh.
No, that still works. I'm still good with that.
How long till you wanted to throw something at the wall and curse out loud?
I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, that's not that hard.
I'm good with that. Michael Valdez, I think, might have some motor skill issues that he's contending with.
This is a great question. Arcady Harris, what would you say is the most California liberal thing you do? Let me think. I recycle. I drive a hybrid. I consistently exclusively vote for Democrats in the election. I like avocados. What else is there?
I like that you say exclusively vote Democrat. That's good. You know what's funny is that I look whenever we get the
I do
ballot,
too.
I look at every goddamn position on there.
So do I.
And then I'll do some additional research.
Yeah. I just always come back around to like, oh, this seems like the better candidate, the better idea.
This person makes sense to me.
And it just so happens
this person looks like an asshole.
And it just happens that people that I find more reasonable and effective leaders happen to have the D next to their name.
Goddamn time, it's a D.
Yeah.
All right, but so I'm with you on that. I do that. I eat avocados.
That's just the California aspect of it, not the liberal.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But if you're from California, you got to eat avocados.
I don't recycle. I should, but I don't. I do not drive a hybrid. However, I was very cognizant of getting a car with better gas mileage.
But you were close to getting a gas guzzling sports vehicle. You considered it. You spoke of it a lot. Did you think about getting a truck too?
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I never would have pulled the trigger on it. It hurt my soul to think about. So, like, aesthetically speaking or superficially speaking, I really wanted to do that. But when I even broached the idea, I was like, I just can't. I can't do it, you know? It's like, I don't know, if I wanted a mohawk or something, it's like, I just can't do it. I'm not going to pull it off, and it just makes me feel bad. Mohawk wouldn't make me feel bad.
Oh, you've had a mohawk before.
Yeah. I write a lot of responses on Twitter to asinine super right wingers, including our president, and then I delete them. I don't think I've written one in January.
Okay.
So in 2019, I've been really good about staying not political on Twitter.
All right.
Because that was a goal of mine, because it doesn't help. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't add to the conversation.
No.
So I decided to shut my mouth on Twitter and try to only be positive.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. I don't think that's liberal. I don't think that's California liberal, though.
No, I don't think so.
But like, I want to write them. I just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really do. There's nothing else. Is there anything else we could do to be more California liberal elites?
Well, I'm sure instead of driving a hybrid, I can drive an electric car. But then still, the electricity is generally generated from gasoline or fossil fuel powered energy stations. So you're still, polluting. We can do what's that stuff
but it's
called?
Not nearly as bad a carbon footprint as.
Well, I don't know. But nonetheless, it's not like you're erasing your carbon footprint. That's what I'm saying.
Unless you're going to ride your bike, you can't.
Well, I could ride my bike to the office if I had a bike. I just don't have a bike. What are those things you buy, the carbon credits to offset your carbon footprint? You can do that. You heard of those?
No.
Where you can go, I think they're called carbon credits. You can go and buy them, and I think essentially what they do is they take that money and they go plant trees. I think.
That's interesting.
Or like used to be what I'm sure it's a lot more sophisticated now. But I think that's what it used to be.
What's next?
Dylan Haggett. What was the first video game either of you played, and what's your favorite video game of all time?
So I think the first video game I ever played was Battlezone on the Commodore 64. At least that's the first one I ever played at home. I might have played like this. I don't know if this I don't think this preceded it, but I might have played something when I was like before we had a home system. What would have been Pac-Man or Invader? I think I knew about Pac-Man. Maybe it was Pac-Man. My first home thing was Battlezone on the Commodore 64, and then I also had Summer Games and Winter Olympics on floppy disk and Pitfall. So I had all the super old school games on Commodore 64.
So my brother and I had a Commodore 64, but we also had an Atari. I don't remember what we had first. I guess it's the Atari because it was released first.
God, I'd love to get a Commodore 64.
So it's probably something like Pac-Man or something on that.
Yeah.
Because I remember we got our Atari 64 and a bunch of games. But then we also had a Commodore Atari 2600 and a bunch of games. We also got a Commodore 64. And then my uncle sent us a bunch of games like the Star Trek Commodore 64 game, which was cool, and there was an Alien one that was neat.
That's neat. Do you remember?
We used to play a flight simulator on there.
I remember doing that. Do you remember?
I played the Top Gun soundtrack.
Prior to getting like your 2600 or Commodore 64, did you play any arcade games outside of the home before then?
If we got the Atari first, I was probably pretty young. So probably not.
Yeah.
There used to be a grocery store we went to that had the old Star Wars arcade game. I used to play that, but I don't remember how old I was.
Yeah.
But if I was 5, I probably wasn't tall enough to man the controls, and see anything. So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Next question.
Next from Perry Smythe. Have you ever had a halal snack pack, which is kebab meat on chips with sauce and cheese? Do you think you would like one? Heck yes, I would like one.
With cheese in it too?
I'm not so huge on the cheese, but give me kebab meat on chips and sauces, and I will eat that up.
Yeah, sounds good.
There's by my old place, there was a halal, like shawarma and gyro place I went to a couple times. It was really good.
Interesting.
It's great.
Next.
Mason, what advice would you give to someone trying to start a podcast and power rank ways to find a co-host?
Oh, God.
Do you
have any friends?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Should be someone you know.
Yeah, it should be somebody
that shares a similar interest.
Like we can and often do finish each other's sentences. And you can kind of only get there when you've known a person for a very long time.
Yes, it definitely helps.
Okay, so if you're starting a podcast, this is my advice. So we often, when asked about this or starting a YouTube channel, we often say you live by the 3 C's: consistency,
Competency,
competence,
community.
So consistency, first and foremost, find a schedule, whether it's once a week, once a day, whatever, but try to get your upload at the same time on that day of the
on
week
the same
or whatever.
day, yeah. Also, consistency is consistent quality of product, which kind of dovetails with competency.
So competency. You can get a decent microphone for $50 these days. The Snowball Blue, I think, is
like $60
it's
now.
like $60. So you can get that. And then, obviously you're going to need, I'll be honest. I don't know if there's like a podcast distribution app on it. You can do so much with this.
Yep.
You can do so much with this. I actually use the microphone in my phone. My iPhone, this is the latest iPhone. It's like the XS, I think. But I use the microphone in this thing to interview everybody at the Performance Center. I just went like this. I turn on the little notepad thing or the memos, and I just did this. I just did this. And the quality's fine. It's totally fine. Now, granted, this is a phone, but if anybody has a smartphone, usually the cameras are pretty good. So you can actually do a podcast. You can just set this thing right here, and you got decent audio. You got decent audio. Find a distribution outlet. YouTube is, I think, one of the biggest search engines in the world. And you, at a certain point, if you get enough subscribers, enough watch time, you can monetize it. And it's free to use. So it's a wonderful distribution outlet. Unfortunately, it doesn't get you on iTunes. However, there are any number of options out there that are affordable. Some probably maybe free, where you can get your podcast listed on iTunes. You just have to Google it. So, yeah. I think one thing that benefits us is that we have the video version of our podcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
It allows the perception of community a bit more. And then the last one is community, and that's just have a social media presence, have a forum where people can commiserate and can join in the conversation, and be sure to include the community and try to grow the community.
Yes.
And you're off to the races, but it's not easy. We were lucky enough to have an audience built in and bankrolled from our time with Machinima. We were paid to essentially grow our audience.
Yeah, build our brand.
And we took advantage of that.
Yeah. And then we kind of got into the wrestling thing before it seemingly really blew up.
Yeah. There's a lot of wrestling stuff out there on YouTube right now.
Penultimate Tommy Wiseau, is Bigfoot an animal-esque creature or a human-esque creature? And if you saw Bigfoot, you call animal control? No, if I see Bigfoot, I get my phone out to tape it.
Oh, yeah.
To record this Bigfoot appearance.
Yeah.
So I could sell it to National Enquirer or TMZ and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't call animal control.
Yeah.
Why should Bigfoot be sent to some shelter somewhere, be kept in captivity?
Okay, well, hold on a second.
He should be free to roam.
Here's the thing. You're not a woodsman. You're not out there in the woods. So if you saw Bigfoot, he'd be out in the suburbs. And if you saw him out in the suburbs and you didn't call animal control or the cops or the Army or National Guard, there's a good chance Bigfoot's going to go and eat some kids at your local school.
We don't know that Bigfoot is a danger to anybody. We don't know that.
We don't know that. Do you want that on your conscience, though? You're sitting there you're calling TMZ. I've got this great Bigfoot footage. Oh, my God, he's ripping apart a little kid.
Why can't I do the same? Well, if I see him walking down my street, I get my phone out, I tape it, and then I call somebody.
Well, there you go.
Maybe.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's irresponsible for you.
But also it's been established that Bigfoot is a danger, so I'd feel bad, conversely, if Bigfoot was apprehended and they did all sorts of jacked up testing to him to see what he was.
No, I want to know what he is. I say split him open.
Not the expense of his happiness and livelihood.
Cut him open alive.
No way.
That's what he
the
gets
first part of the question. He's an anthropomorphic.
He's an animal. Not a human. He's an animal. Anthropomorphic is right. It's human-like, but it's an animal.
Yeah. But he could be highly intelligent.
It's like when you start talking to a spider and acting like it's a person. That's a spider.
That's a spider, yeah.
You know, Bigfoot is a big ape, but, you know, he sort of acts kind of humanish.
Yeah, but it could be like maybe they have language. I don't know.
Yeah, they might.
Yeah. Von Erich. You both awakened from cryo sleep in the surprisingly wondrous 23rd century, and fortunately, a cryo chamber mishap results in Steve's body suffering irreparable damage. His only hope for survival is to have his head surgically conjoined to Larson's body.
Fuck that. Kill me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Making you a two-headed friendo. Do either of you object to this operation? I think we both do.
Oh, no way.
We both do.
What if we wake up and that's the case?
You
know what I would do immediately?
I'd say, Steve, I have a couple pillows here. What should we do? And you just nod at me, and I nod at you, and we just put the pillows over our faces. That's what happens.
You know what I would do? I'd swerve the shit. I'd be like, why'd you put this guy's head on my body? And then they'd take your head off, and I'd get the body.
No,
I'd be off the side though.
No, I'd be like, hold on a second. Steve's body never had this much hair on it.
I'm like, he's lying. I'm the body. I said it first.
The mailman. My son Bryce just turned 4. My wife and I are trying to potty train him. Any advice? I have zero experience potty training boys, so I don't know. I've heard it's a different thing. So I don't know anything about that.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to remember like how we were with. Like, I'm trying to remember if Lacey ever said anything about Devin. With her, it was generally just like, I think with her, like with Marissa, anyways, it was like, well, we're out of diapers, so go use the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
If you mean like the psychologically, like getting the child to stop using their diapers and just start using the bathroom, Alabama was a little bit late on it, but she just did it. Like it was just a matter of her just doing. Like we were just like, yeah, look, I know you're not going to be like 6 years old peeing yourself.
Yeah.
So listen, you need to start using like we would just tell her, you need to start using the toilet. You have to start using the toilet. We read her this book that came with like some diapers or whatever about a big kid using the toilet a bunch of times. And then eventually one time she just like comes rolling out of the bedroom where our bathroom is. And she's like, hey, I just went pee on the potty. And we made like a big explosive deal about
you make a deal about it.
Partied
like
over
with
it.
our oldest, it's about when she was starting preschool. Mm-hmm. And, if you send your kid to preschool, they charge you more money if they're not potty trained.
Yep.
So we didn't really want to spend more money.
Yeah, sure.
And so we said, hey, if to go to school, it'd be best if we can get this done before potty training, before you go to school. And you just have to be, like you said, when they do it successfully, you have to make a deal out of it. Mm-hmm. You have to basically throw a party every time until it clicks that, okay, this is what I need to be doing. Also, we were super observant. So whenever she made any sort of gestures or body language that seemed to indicate that she had to go use the bathroom, we would go run in and put her right in the toilet.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And say, okay, let's get it done.
Yeah. Bama's very much like... She's very much like, if you try to force the issue at all, like if we tried that with her, because every kid is different.
Yes, absolutely.
We tried it. If we were to try that with her, she would freak out and the opposite would happen. She'd be like, no, screw you. I'm never getting on that thing now.
Yeah.
So in her case, like we realized that she would do it on her own time, and that's what ended up happening.
But our youngest, she just wants to be like her big sister. So once she saw her sister do it and understand what it was, and it was like, okay, I'm going to do this too.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that huge of a deal.
Yeah. Next.
Fred the Shed. Where did the California liberal elitist in-joke come from? Probably someone in chat or left a comment trying to be rude and insult us. And we're like, oh, that's funny. Yeah, sure, we're California liberal elitists. Like when we were dubbed early in our machinima careers, the shit twins.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny. And I said, yeah, we're the shit twins, all right.
I'm trying to remember exactly.
I think it was a chat for a live stream of a pay-per-view at your house when we were still there.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if it was in seriousness or if it was in jest. Someone called us California liberal elitist, and it made me laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, was it the time that you got the deli tray with the croissant sandwiches on there?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, but I think when it was said then, even by whoever was chatting, they said it in jest.
Yeah, probably.
Because that's such a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
I think you're right about that. And it was pretty funny. Because they also knew, I think we had sort of outed ourselves in a way when Trump got elected, because we were literally doing our SmackDown recap
while watching election results.
And you just see our soul getting sucked out.
JC Zephyr, how do you deal with people who are socially awkward without upsetting them and being annoyed with them? For example, when they answer "I don't know" to basic questions.
So my oldest stepkid could do that sometimes. She would sort of be like that sometimes. With me anyways. I mean, it all depends on what relationship you're talking about. Is this question in regards to somebody you're dating or somebody you're working with?
Or someone in your circle. Your social circle.
Read the question again.
It's just, how do you deal with people who are socially awkward without upsetting them or being annoyed with them?
I don't. Well, I just generally speaking, just be understanding that people are different.
Yeah.
No need to be an asshole about things.
No.
I mean, my youngest stepkid is also he's with us anyways. He's a bit awkward, but him and then my niece and my middle stepkid both claim up and down that at school he's like Mr. Cool. Devin it's weird. He's like, I have friends and I'm a lot different with them, and I'm like, I believe you.
Yeah.
And they always tell me, yeah, Devin's got a lot of friends and people really like him at school, which is great. So I don't know. You got to give people, you got to try it. Dude, here's the thing. If you're comfortable in your own skin, that's great. Not everybody is.
Yeah.
And if you are, then you need to understand that that's an advantage you have in this world. And you need to be accommodating to other people who are not. So don't think of them as just being annoying. Just understand that that's how they're built. That's how they're wired. And try to make them comfortable. And if you try to make them comfortable, they will trust you enough maybe to come out of their shell.
To open up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Luckman, I've been trying to make designs for my creative wrestlers in 2K, but don't know where to make a good logo. Steve, I was wondering how you make all the going in raw logos so I can try to make higher quality logos. It's all Photoshop.
I now do a sort of a combination.
Oh.
Mainly it's Photoshop. However, I have been incorporating the Procreate app on my iPad.
Yeah.
I'll use that for a variety of things. Unfortunately, they don't have a native type tool.
Yeah.
So I have to then take it over into this other program called Over to do that. And even that's kind of limited. So, but no, by and large, it's Photoshop. I'm pretty sure this whole thing was Photoshop. I don't even like it. The new one is better. It pops better.
Do you have you ever used Illustrator at all?
I use Illustrator for some of our shirt designs. For the Chicago shirt design, I've used it. I'm not as big a fan of it simply because vector images, to me, the way I operate, aren't as intuitive as freehand. I'm just not as good with the more designy aspect of things. So yeah, I would suggest this. There's a number of places of websites out there that have pre-designed templates that you can mess around with quite a bit. Our Chicago shirt, that shirt is basically from a template, and then you could change the font type,
move some assets around,
move them around, change the colors exactly, and then you got some cool stuff there. But I mean, the short answer is Photoshop.
The cult of false reality. Since you're both basketball fans, have you ever thought about making a sports podcast? If you thought there was a lot of wrestling to watch during the course of a week, imagine if we were a sports podcast and had to pay attention to all the comings and goings of all the various sports.
I could. That's one thing that, like, I don't keep up with sports as much as you do, but
I don't even keep up as much as I used to.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know that I could be that guy.
Basketball is probably the only real sport that you'd be willing or interested in following at a really granular level, though, I would think, right? Because I feel like you pay attention to football more so just for the little fantasy football you play and to say you're a Patriots fan than anything else.
I actually appreciate. I find. I'll put it this way. I find. You know how, like, in sports, the sports that appeal to you, you find satisfaction in watching it be played.
Yeah.
You know, when a running back gets the ball and just runs the perfect route between people.
Yeah.
Or finds the hole, or if a wide receiver finds the good route, whatever.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah.
I do find that with football. I like watching good football. Mm-hmm. I just have kind of a problem with the NFL on a philosophical basis.
Yeah. Agreed.
Basketball is my top tier for, oh my God, this is so satisfying to watch. I find it less so with baseball, but I can get into it. I can get into it.
So the thing with baseball too is there's less going on per play or per pitch.
Yeah.
But then, like, I don't know, baseball is like a game of millimeters.
I don't have a mind for the strategy of baseball either,
okay.
And I think that probably plays into the lack of satisfaction I get in watching.
Could be. I mean, like, because football is a game of inches, but like baseball is a game of less than millimeters.
Yeah.
Like if your pitch is just located off by a centimeter, it could be a difference between someone swinging through it and someone hitting it 450 feet.
Yeah, but also the management of baseball is fascinating to me, but I don't know anything about it. Yeah. I'm like, when they because that's what I've heard. I've heard that baseball is like one of the more strategic sports there is.
Yeah. I mean, especially now where anything's so analytic driven.
Yeah.
So if you watch the playoffs at all this year, typically your starters will be in there, pitch in today's modern game 5 or 6 innings, and then they'll go the bullpen to finish off the game. In the playoffs, you had starters pitching an inning, 2 innings, and after that it was just pitching changes based on matchups.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately slows down the game. I get it. It leads probably to more success for good teams. Whether it's a more enjoyable iteration of the sport is up for debate. But I guess they balance that with everybody's trying to adjust their swings for higher loft angles for more home runs. So while you have all these dramatic shifts to counter people's propensities at the plate, pitching changes to get the matchups they want, you also have guys who adjust their swing for a greater uppercut to hit more home runs. Home runs are always exciting.
Yeah. I also appreciate soccer. As I've gotten more into the Tottenham Hotspurs, it does. I understand kind of the nature of the anticipation of the goal in soccer, because that's a big thing. So I don't know. I think with sports, I like doing a sports podcast. If I had to, if it was like, hey, listen, nobody's doing sports podcasts, right?
Everybody from sports is doing wrestling now. We have to make the transition to sports.
If I had to, if that was like, hey, I could find myself to really find a passion there. I could. But then you look at like all the sports on TV, and it's all like, nerdy white guys doing their takes on sport. And it's like, God, I don't have no desire to be these people, It's like, do we really need another couple of 40-year-old white guys talking sports?
No.
Not really.
No.
So I'm not sure that would bring anything to the equation, but I could find the interest, I guess.
This is an interesting question from Alex C. Are there any weird butterfly effects in your lives? For instance, if not for the UK serial killer Pete Sutcliffe, then my dad would have gone to university in a different city, then never have gone to a certain party in London where he met my mom.
Yeah. My mom was one of, she is one of 13 brothers and sisters. And I've asked her, and I forget exactly why. She is the one out of them who was sent to the United States. Out of all 13, she was the one who was picked to come to the United States to live her life. And if they chose any other one of them, I would not be here.
I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily a butterfly effect thing, but, you know, I was born in Arizona, spent the first decade or so of my life there, and my dad had other employment opportunities in various other places other than California, and he bypassed all of them because for whatever reason he didn't want it. Mm-hmm. Like we could have easily ended up in like Texas or Oklahoma or somewhere in the Midwest, as opposed to here.
Yeah,
and just that decision of where his career was going to take him could have significantly altered the trajectory of my entire life. I never have met my friends up here. I probably wouldn't have gotten interested in making movies. Probably wouldn't have gone to film school. Wouldn't have met my wife.
Yeah.
All of these things that happened because of where he decided where he wanted to work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, nothing is as weird as like the serial killer thing. No. I mean, beyond like, you know, my dad, when he was in Nam, like, you know, I think his barracks was like bombed at some point while he wasn't there. I think he had like any number of brushes with like possible death. So yeah, if my dad was killed in Nam, I wouldn't be here. So I don't know what one thing caused the other. Nothing as weird as that serial killer one. No, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Last one, Undisputed, baby. I know you enjoy video games, but not sure if you're into first-person shooters. Have you played Blackout mode for Black Ops 4? If so,
should I?
Would you want them to make a Call of Duty with multiple Blackout maps?
This is an amazing question.
Thanks for all. This is like a podcast for the win question. Thanks for all your hard work, guys. You're the best podcast there is. Thank you, Undisputed, baby.
All right, here we go, Larson. Alternate universe, somehow, some way, podcast.
Well, first, and this is the first part of his question. I am awful at first-person shooters.
Let's act like this is now a podcast for the win, and somehow we're still stuck.
Well, I need to be a lot more checked out then.
Let's be stuck in the hell that is podcast for the win.
All right, we're stuck on the first level of Bloodborne.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, E3 is coming up in about 6 months. We'll start talking about that shit. No, I want to get... Here's the thing. I actually, like, I legitimately do want to get the latest Call of Duty. I do, because Call of Duty's funny because for me, like, I played... like Black Ops 1 relatively recently, like within the last 6 months, like November, I think. And
the servers are still up for Black Ops 1?
Oh yeah, it's still popular. It's still to me a fun game to just check out and have fun. At a certain point, I start getting self-conscious about my KDR, and then I start sucking so bad.
Oh, that's me as soon as I start playing.
Yeah.
Because I could walk into the situation like, I am terrible at first-person shooters.
Right.
I am not good. I'm a detriment to my team.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm going to cost my team this entire game. Why am I even bother with this?
Yeah. So I do want to check out the latest Call of Duty because I do enjoy it, and I'm not good, but I'm not awful. And I do find the bottom line is I do find it fun, but I would rather play right now Red Dead 2 because I haven't gotten into that too much. I still have an itch for Fallout 4, and I did pick up the latest Spider-Man game because I heard a lot of good things about that, and I played a little bit of it, and I really enjoy it. I have no time to do any of that. There's like so much that we want to do here for Going in Raw that I thoroughly enjoy doing that takes precedent.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's why Super Kicks has kind of faded to the background because there's just this is a full-time job.
It's a full-time job plus.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But whenever you own your own business, that's basically what it is. So anyways, that's it for Ask Stephen Larson. We're going to put up a new thread for the new week. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.